Hey guys, today is January 19th. That means we are reading Philippians chapter 1, verses 1 through 18. We've made it to the third book. We've read Galatians, we've read Ephesians, now Philippians. Philippians is a really short book, it's only 4 letters, written from Paul while he's in prison to the church at Philippi. Now, this church is interesting because Paul's been there. Paul started it about 10 years ago of when he was writing this letter. So, over 10 years of kind of starting it and getting it going, but now hearing good reports, now he's writing back to them because the Church of Philippi has been supporters. They financially helped him. They've sent him support, other pastors to help along and to do other kind of missionary efforts. And so he's now in prison, much like he did with Ephesus, with the letter of Ephesians. He's writing a letter to to the church of Philippi that we call Philippians. And so, what's very interesting about this letter is that Paul knows he's about to die. He thinks he's about to die. He thinks that he's kind of like what we would call on death row. And so, as we read this book, you're going to kind of see this a lot on kind of just knowing where he's at. And he knows he's coming to the end of his life. But we can see in chapter 1, it's simply a greeting that him and Timothy are there. They're servants. And then we see kind of a thanksgiving and a prayer for them. And he's basically saying, thank you for being a faithful church. Thank you for helping support the ministry. Thank you for supporting us as missionaries and being a great church. But really what I want to focus on is just verses 12 through 18. And this is kind of an amazing point here that Paul says. Paul's in jail. He's been in jail for a while. He's on what we call death row. Everything is coming to an end. And he basically says, I am so excited that I'm in prison. Because I'm in prison, I've been able to preach to all the guards, the Imperial Guard. Everybody in the jail knows about Jesus Christ. I'm leading every person that I can to Christ. And this is amazing. He's in jail, he's on death row, and he's excited because he's still sharing the gospel. His situation hasn't got him down. He hasn't felt abandoned by God, but just the opposite. It's increased him even more. And so he's kind of telling them that he's advanced the gospel. He even said, even because he's in jail, there's people on the outside that are preaching the gospel for good reasons to lead people to Christ. And there's people preaching the gospel for bad reasons to lead people away. But he even says, thank God for both, because Jesus Christ is still getting talked about. When we're in our most desperate situation, a lot of times we surround ourselves and we close ourselves into the walls and into the prison walls, and we feel like we're in jail, like Paul is. But it's with Christ, it's with the hope and the peace and the patience that he can provide, and the reality of the gospel, that it truly presses those walls out. It takes us from being in a dark prison to literally understanding that we are still the sons and daughters of Christ, and we have a gospel to share. We have the hope of this world to share. And so it helps us to maybe look at our circumstances a little bit different. Guys, I'm so glad we're doing this study together. I'm so glad we've made it to the third book. There's only one more to go, and we are almost done. And this has been a great time, not only learning about the power of the gospel, but really how the gospel affects us and in the circumstances of life that we find ourselves many times. Guys, we love you, and God bless. We're going to see you tomorrow.